Call to order the special meeting of the Dickinson City Commission for Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. First item up this morning, we will start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for attending this morning, and I hope you had a busy and uneventful Memorial Day weekend. It was a very nice weekend. Got a little rain, so I'm sure some of the farmers weren't appreciative of that, but they are and they aren't, right? So we have one item on the timetable this morning, and that is our Chapter 4 amendment, and this will be handled by City Administrator Dossinger and our representative from the law firm this morning. So, Mr. Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Commission. As we approach the finalization of our Legacy Square, we need to finalize some details as far as providing alcohol at that venue. Today, we do have the second reading of Chapter 4 amendments in front of you. Kind of want to go over what has been discussed and what was approved in the first reading of the Chapter 4 amendments. There would be a separate liquor license that would be created for Legacy Square. It would be a Legacy Square concession license. This would be bid annually through a bidding process. Anticipating bidding process can take place around the same time all the other licenses are renewed every year, which would be right around October. This would be restricted to on-off sale, Class A, and lodge and club licenses. Only these licenses would be able to apply for and bid on the license. This license is non-transferable. The applicability of the license, this would apply to only city-sponsored and sanctioned events. Private events would require a special event permit. Beverages to be sold would include liquor, wine, and beer in cans. This would prohibit the sale of bottles to help with debris and broken glass for safety reasons and to keep the square cleanly. Security requirements would fall back on the liquor license holder that got the bid. There would be a designated corridor created for the liquor service area. The corridor would be on the west side of City Hall and the town square, and the north side of the town square where Rivera Bank is located. We'd also, part of this Chapter 4 amendments would also be removing designated areas restricting liquor consumption. Currently, liquor may only be consumed in a designated area during a special event. With code changes, any type of alcohol can be consumed anywhere during a special event. This would be consistent with the changes that were made in North Dakota Century Code in January of 2021 during the 67th Legislative Assembly. Here's on this map, you can kind of see what the corridor would look like. Be First Avenue West and 2nd Street. So, one of the concerns as far as the continued funding for Legacy Square, the annual license fee, through the bidding process, the city receives a percentage of the gross alcohol sales. We are proposing 20%, and the wristbands for patrons who consume alcohol, we are proposing $5 for the wristband sales. Are there any questions regarding the second reading of Chapter 4 liquor ordinance?
Before I ask the Commission for any questions, I just received text. Commissioner Oderman is online by phone. I would have a question for Ms. Krebs. If everything's been reviewed, and like Mr. Dossinger said, we're up to date on Century Code, and we don't conflict with any of their. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions on the proposal?
Mr. President?
Mr. Oderman?
Yeah, my question would be, so with this license, I just thought about this over the last couple of weeks. Would this license be just for city-sponsored events or any events at Legacy Square that have a special use permit?
This would be for city-sponsored events at Legacy Square. But if there would be a special event permit that would be held there, the liquor license bidder that was awarded this would have first right of refusal. That person renting that space would have to contact that liquor license holder first to see if they're able to do the event.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And this doesn't limit, if someone uses this as a special event place, doesn't limit who they can use as say they have the event catered. They would just, if there's any alcohol served, they'd have to go to the license holder first for that refusal rate. But catering, it doesn't matter. So just so caterers know that they're beholden to this amendment, that they can't serve any alcohol through their catering.
That is correct. This
Okay.
pertains only to the alcohol.
This is the second reading. Commissioners, any further questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Bear.
I have a question about who's going to be responsible for collecting the wristband money. Should that be a city employee to do that, or should that fall on the vendor? I mean, since the money's coming straight to the city, should we not just have a city employee collect that money, or would that be an issue?
Commissioner Bear, that is a discussion that we will have with the awardee of the liquor license, how that process would work. That would take place at the same time that individual would be carded to make sure that they are 21 to consume alcohol. That is a detail that we'll have to work out with the liquor license awardee, or the bid awardee at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yeah, I was just gonna have Mr. Marsh, yeah. There are no more further questions from the commission. I'd ask if anybody in the audience or online has any. Mr. Marsh?
Bernie Marsh, the Esquire Club downtown. Excited for this to happen. The one question I have now about the security is the liquor license holder responsible for all security out there, or just for the liquor security?
Mr. Dossinger?
Mr. Marsh, obviously it'd be very similar to if you had a special event permit where the liquor license holder would be responsible for the security. Obviously, the carding of the individuals, and just make sure that
I'm
there's
not
no
worried about the carding, I'm just worried about if the band gets rowdy and they cause a little mini riot, why would we be responsible for it when it's not our event?
I mean, we'd still have staff just like we would as first events with our police department, but the liquor license holder would still be responsible for some of the security on that premise.
Well, okay, because I mean, that's part of when we put in a bid is how much security are we responsible for? You know?
Yeah. Good question. So,
That's obviously, the police department's worked well as far as with the security requirements in the past. Obviously, it's very difficult to get the bona fide security here in our area.
Right.
And I think we've been pretty flexible with
Well, that part I'm not worried about, but I'm just worried how much do I need, you know?
Well, I think each event's gonna have to be looked at as far as the size, potential size of it, and set those requirements.
And like I said, that does come into consideration when we're putting in a bid of what our expenses are gonna be.
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
I mean, I guess I understand his concern there. I mean, are we talking 4 security guards? Are we talking 12? Or, I mean, I think that's something that's gonna have to be hashed out probably prior to the bid. I mean, it could affect,
Mr. President, maybe Chief Siani would have a few comments regarding the security and.
I was gonna ask
aspects
Mr.
of it.
Walters too, if there's any riders by any of these at these events by any of the performers that do they request additional security? As both of you can come up, so.
Mr. President, Commissioners, so far only one rider has specified extra security, and that would be Tiger Lily on August 24th. And it hasn't, I'm going to confirm with them, I have an email out to them right now, but it's not a lot of extra security. I think just a couple extra specifically for the band members. They want to have somebody assigned to them.
Okay.
Mr. President, and as far as security concerns are
security is that we can determine that on the venue itself to see, not the venue, but the band itself to determine how many we feel is appropriate for the band. And I think we'll be able to provide that basis before the bidding opens because we know who's coming in for this year. And then, but it would be a little delay for next year until we actually have what's coming in and what the act is. We can't determine security because we can't determine potential crowd size.
Yeah.
But we can come up with a bare minimum basic that they're gonna have to have for every event and then adjust it to who's coming in and expectations of crowd.
And that raises my other question. If we have bands that have a rider that require their own security, are we gonna supply that? Or are we gonna ask the liquor license holder to supply that?
Commissioner Frederick, in the past, this has happened before, when there used to be some of the larger bands held at the rec center several years ago. At that point in time, there was a member of the police department that was assigned to that performer
Okay.
for individual security, and we basically would do the same thing. We'd have to offer an overtime opportunity for that police officer to be assigned to that performer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the concern. Two, we're gonna have to be extra vigilant, you know, with this open area with alcohol consumption, that product isn't being switched out of people without wristbands and stuff like that. So this first year is going to be interesting, figuring all this out, and I know it's a challenge for anybody bidding on this. So I just hope that Tiger Lily doesn't, you know, live up to their song and just start shooting tequila and get out of hand. So,
Gotta be in a can.
yeah, gotta be in a can. So, there is tequila in a can now, so, yeah. Mr. Marsh?
Bernie Marsh. So then security would end at what time? When the band
I
leaves?
guess that would have to
When the
be-
band leaves the
that it-
stage?
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna have, let's just say, 1,000 people are out there, and right now you have steered everything away from the downtown businesses, so when they all get done at 10 o'clock and they're dispersing, I mean, where does our responsibility end? Because they're probably gonna be moving downtown or wherever they wanna go. And so you're gonna have them walking down the street with their drinks or whatever, because at that time,
well, once they're outside that area,
okay, that's fine.
yeah.
But I mean,
it's-
so when the band is done, or when we quit serving, let's just say we quit serving, what time do we quit serving? Let's just say half an hour, we don't know when the band's gonna quit. When the band is done, we quit serving. I mean, I know that's not part of, it's part of what is, discussion's gonna be with the liquor holder, but it's still a question that we need to have in our mind.
Yeah, that's correct. Obviously, you're only responsible for the stuff in the corridor, obviously not the streets.
But when the band is done, our responsibility is done?
You know, you'll, obviously, until you get your stuff put away, packed up, put away, obviously be around there, obviously be no different than when you have your events downtown on the pavement till the crowd disperses.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times we close our windows, but our permit is out on the street till 2 a.m. So, I mean, so.
Are you need to provide, on a special permit, do you need to provide security till 2
Yes.
a.m.?
Yes,
Okay, and then, I
But-
guess
but
I
our-
look at it as this is
but our
a
band quits
special-
at midnight.
Right,
And by 1 o'clock, most people are gone because we close our windows at 1:45, and so it's not a problem. But, I mean, yeah, we do provide people until our permit time is done.
okay. I guess that would just, you'd have to take that into consideration, placing your bid, you know, maybe you're just gonna have to.
Because I'm hoping that we can use the concession area,
Correct.
you know, so, I mean, once we close our doors, we're done. So, I mean, is that when our time for security is done, you know?
Well, I think you gotta, you know, common sense says you gotta wait till the majority of the crowd disperses. Obviously, when alcohol stops being sold and being consumed, the crowd
Right.
will
So then
disperse.
how is the crowd gonna get dispersed then? Do they get just to hang out there as long as they want, or?
Well, I think on first, nobody chased them out of the area after. the
No, I
band
know
was,
that, but
you
I
know.
mean, that's a question I have at that point. Do I have to have my people hanging around there until 3 in the morning because the people just haven't left?
No, I mean, you're responsible until the event is over, in a sense, and that includes, you know, for a little bit of time after the performance is done, majority of the crowd leaves. We certainly don't expect you to babysit Legacy Square till 2 or 3 in the morning. That's a police issue.
Okay, No, I'm sure whoever gets the bid will have some questions like this, and
Correct.
just trying to put the idea into everybody's head.
Yep, and certainly once the biddy is selected, that's some of the details that we're gonna have to work with on the operational side.
It says beer, wine, and liquor in cans. Plastic bottles, okay? That's a lot of the little bottles of wine come.
I guess I'm not aware of the wine coming in plastic bottles, but,
Yeah, the small singles are usually in plastic bottles.
okay. That's something we could probably have to take a look
I
at.
think that, Mr. Marsh, I think the biggest thing they're looking.
Not glass, I understand
Glass
that,
and.
I don't wanna be
Yeah,
selling
but
wine
maybe
and-
we need to
And-
have that
and-
distinction.
And
in-
mixed drinks, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so.
Right.
And then, I don't know, I forgot it.
We just,
You guys, the concession stand where we'll be selling out of, are we limited to just selling out of that area?
The two areas, right?
Well, I mean, we ain't limited as far as the sales area. That's something that we're gonna have to work with as far as the sales dispersal points out of there.
Well,
I mean, the concession stand would be one. As far as the liquor license holder, we know the best way to serve that crowd. Obviously, as a city, we would work
That's,
with them.
I'm just saying, if there's an event with 2,000 people, I can't serve all 2,000 people out of one area.
Mr. Marsh, that's not what was expected. We obviously
I
realize that
understand that.
there's gonna be other points of sale
Okay.
throughout that area.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the audience or people watching online? Close the public comment section. Commissioners, any further comments? There are no further comments. I'd look for a motion on Chapter 4 amendment.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second?
second by Commissioner Soboluk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Ms. Soboluk,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
aye.
Mr. Oderman.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. One last item, we need to set the bids will close on the 14th, be collected up here on the 15th, the morning of the 15th. We're proposing on June 15th at 1 PM, having another special meeting for the bid, after the bid has been opened, to approve it. So that works for every commissioners.
As long as I can join online, I'm free for
Okay.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to call it too.
I think I'm gonna double check mine.
At 1 o'clock, I'm assuming?
Yes, 1
We already
o'clock.
have an invite? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
good.
think we got an invite for it already, so, yeah, I have that down. So we're good to go on that for 1 o'clock special meeting on the 15th. So, for the prospective bidders. And that is it for the agenda today, so I am going to look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We
Second.
are adjourned.